Hello everyone and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. Today is Friday, December 30th, and this is today's NBA DFS video. So in today's video, we'll be taking a quick look back at yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out, talking about the injuries in play for tonight's slate. It is a 9-game main slate overall, and then going over to both DraftKings and FanDuel to talk about my core picks for tonight as well. But without further ado, we'll get started with a recap of yesterday's picks. We're going to start off on the DraftKings side. We had Emmanuel quickly at the point guard position with $5,000. Looking for 25 points on him, he got to 59.25, so he was a massive hit yesterday, almost 12 times value overall there. And then we had Paul George at shooting guard, $8,400, looking for 42 points on him, a little bit of a down game, but got to 41.5, so we did give him a push yesterday, right in line with kind of what we were looking for. At small forward, we had Scotty Barnes. He was $6,700, looking for 34 points on him. Got to 41 yesterday, so he was a hit as well. Then at power forward, we had Jabari Smith at $5,000, looking for 25 points on him. Got 24, so did give him a push yesterday, just slightly under what we were looking for, but not a bad performance by any means. And then last but not least, we went with Jalen Williams, the flat minimum $3,000 at center, looking for 15 points on him. He got exactly 15, so he was a hit yesterday as well. So it was a pretty strong core yesterday. If you ended up with some Luka, he got up to 81 points, had some pretty good opportunities from there as well. But, a pretty high scoring slate all around, but a solid core regardless on the DraftKings side. And then on the FanDuel side, we had LaMelo Ball at $9,000, looking for 45 points on him, got to 58.5, so he was a really good hit yesterday. Then at shooting guard, we had Emmanuel quickly at $6,000, looking for 30 points on him, got to 56.9, so he was a really good hit as well. Then small forward, we went with Jaylen Brown. He was $8,800, looking for 44 points on him. Ended up with only 37.4. He was a miss. Only ended up playing 33 minutes in this game. Got in a little bit of foul trouble. He did have 5 fouls in total for the game. So maybe lost out on 3 or 4 minutes in that regard. And then at power forward, we had Scotty Barnes once again, $8,200, looking for 41 points on him. Got to 42, so he was a hit. And then last but not least, the center position. We had Mike Muscala originally. Jalen Williams ended up starting for Oklahoma City. I kind of mentioned him there on the FanDuel side, but he was only power forward eligible there. So I said try to get up to like either Sengun Robinson or Plumlee. So unfortunately, Sengun was not very good. He was at $6,800, but looking for 34 out of him. Got to 18.7. He was a miss, only played 17 minutes and got in massive foul trouble. Mitchell Robinson was $6,600, looking for 33 out of him. Got to 13.2. He's a miss. He just did not play well in like 26, 27 minutes yesterday. And then Mason Plumlee was $6,400, looking for 32 points on him, got to 31.8, so he was a push or kind of a hit yesterday, however you would like to call it. So he would have been the best one to get out of those three. Center position overall yesterday, not too great overall, besides like a random Mark Williams play, which very, very few people on the field were actually on yesterday, especially with Nick Richards getting rolled back in. But with that being said, still a pretty decent day on both sites, especially if you went with the Mason Plumlee at center on FanDuel. But if you had some other decent plays, you had a pretty good chance of cashing overall. But with that being said, we'll get moved over into the injuries in play for tonight's slate. So once again, it is a 9-game main slate overall. We have one lone game tipping off right at 7 o'clock, and it's going to be a value spot with the Orlando Magic and the Washington Wizards. So on the Wizards side, we have Bradley Beal and Taj Gibson both listed as questionable. Gibson's not too important in this case. Bradley Beal will make a major impact. He did look like he was going to play last time out, but then ended up missing. So I would assume that he's back tonight. If he's not back tonight, I do have a lot of interest in Kristaps Porzingis, especially going against a depleted Orlando Magic team. For the Magic side, we have Jonathan Isaac, Chuma Okeke, and Jalen Suggs all out with injury. Then we have 6 other players who are suspended at least one game due to the physical altercation that happened in the last game against the Detroit Pistons. So there you have Cole Anthony, Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter Jr., RJ Hampton, Gary Harris, and Mo Wagner. So Mo Wagner is suspended 2 games. Everybody else is suspended for tonight's game. That leaves the Magic with only 8 players available tonight, unless the NBA does give them a hardship exemption to call up somebody from their G League affiliate, which I do believe is still in Lakeland. But at this point in time, I'm going to assume that they only have 8 players available, which is going to be the 5 that are listed here in their expected starting lineup with Markelle Fultz, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Caleb Houston, and Bol Bol. And then the other 3 players being Terrence Ross, Admiral Schofield, and Kevin Harris. So when you're talking through those 8 players, the things that are really going to stand out there, the only real point guard left on the team is Markelle Fultz. The only real big man left on the team is Bol Bol. And you could argue he's really not much of a center anyways, since he's kind of so skinny. So Franz Wagner may get some backup point guard run or facilitator role. Paolo Banchero is probably going to get some extra ball handling duties as well. Maybe Terrence Ross gets some ball handling duties in the second unit, if you even want to call it a second unit at that point in time. And then we might see Admiral Schofield probably fill in as kind of that backup pseudo center on tonight's slate overall. Could be some interesting value plays, some GPP paydown options there as well. Whoever ends up being that fifth starter is probably going to be the most interesting of the bunch, since we're going to assume that Fultz, Wagner, Bunkero, and Bol are all going to start. So kind of that fifth one is going to be the one overall. But expect big minutes for, most of this team overall. Then we move over to the Lakers, who are without Anthony Davis. LeBron James questionable with an ankle injury, but he's been playing through it, so not really too much concern there. Lonnie Walker, Dennis Schroeder, and Austin Reeves all expected to play tonight. For the Hawks, Clint Capella out once again. DeAndre Hunter is questionable to play, missed the previous 2 games with an ankle injury. Trae Young missed the last game, but he is expected to return tonight. For the Phoenix Suns, we got the same 5 guys out once again with Devin Booker, Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, Cameron Payne, and Landry Shamet, so no real changes there. Toronto Raptors, they are in the back-to-back, so we'll see if anything changes throughout the day, but at this point in time, Otto Porter Jr. is out. Fred VanVleet and Precious Achiuwa both questionable once again. Both did not end up playing last night. Then we move down to the Detroit Pistons, who were the other half of that altercation, but they only ended up with 2 players suspended in Hamidou Diallo and Killian Hayes, although Killian Hayes is suspended 3 games because he was the main agitator in that brawl, as you would have it. And then we have Isaiah Livers also out once again tonight, and then Marvin Bagley listed as questionable. We'll see if he plays or not. But probably going to get Alex Burks in that starting lineup. There is a chance that Saddiq Bey is in that starting lineup in his place instead, and they move Bogdanovich over to the 2 spot. Would not be surprising, but not sure they have to do that tonight. But Burks, Bey, Bogdanovich, Jaden Ivey, they're all going to look pretty good. And then if you want to take a shot on one of the big men, whether it's Isaiah Stewart or Jalen Duran, definitely in play as well. For Chicago Bulls, they are without Lonzo Ball once again. Patrick Williams, Kobe White, and Derrick Jones Jr. all listed as questionable. Kind of expect Jones and Kobe White to miss once again. Patrick Williams really up in the air. Looks like Alex Caruso should be back tonight, and Javonte Green returned in the last game. Then we move down to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are without Jordan McLaughlin, Taurean Prince, Karl-Anthony Towns once again. And then we have Kyle Anderson listed as questionable with his back injury once again. For the Bucks, they're without Chris Middleton, and then Drew Holiday listed as doubtful, so he's probably out once again. And then for the Philadelphia 76ers, they are expected to get the return of Tyrese Maxey tonight. It will be interesting to see if he's in the starting lineup or coming off the bench, but either way, he should have some type of minutes limit. For the Pelicans side, we have Brandon Ingram and EJ Liddell both out once again. Larry Nance listed as doubtful, and Herb Jones is questionable to play tonight. He's kind of working on his conditioning since he was dealing with COVID. Then we move down to the Miami Heat, who are without Dwayne Dedmon, Omar Yurtseven, Udonis Haslem, Caleb Martin both listed as questionable. Gabe Vincent, Nikola Jovic, and Jimmy Butler all expected to play tonight. Then for the Nuggets, Colin Gillespie and Jeff Green both out once again. Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Bruce Brown all listed as questionable. So there could be some value that opens up on this team where all the 3 of those guys could end up playing and there be no value overall. For the Portland Trailblazers, they are without Justice Winslow, Gary Payton II, Nazir Little, Keon Brown, Greg Brown as well. So a lot of guys off their bench kind of disappearing now. Then we have Joseph Nurkic, who is probable to play once again tonight. So we might see some extra minutes for like a Shaedon Sharpe, a couple extra minutes for like a Trendon Watford, and then Drew Eubanks at that backup center position. But we're probably going to see a 9th guy enter the rotation. Not really sure who that's going to be at this point in time, but we'll just have to see throughout the night. Maybe there's some news ahead of time, but probably not anybody that we're particularly chasing in DFS either way. Golden State Warriors without Steph Curry, JaMychal Green, Andre Iguodala, and Andrew Wiggins. We got Draymond Green and Dante DiVincenzo both listed as expected to play tonight. Utah Jazz are all the way healthy at this point in time, and then the Sacramento Kings just have Trey Lyles listed as questionable. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for tonight's slate. Obviously, quite a few that we're going to be looking out for today. Obviously, some of the biggest ones going to be the Denver Nuggets news there towards the bottom of the slate. Drew Holiday, I'm just expecting to be out since he's already doubtful. Bulls could open up some value with Kobe White and Derrick Jones potentially being out once again. Obviously, we got the value from the Pistons and the Magic already in play. LeBron, if he would miss, that'd be a big deal. Same thing with Bradley Beal. Maybe Trae Young randomly gets ruled out. And then obviously we're looking at Fred VanVleet once again. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to DraftKings and talk about my core picks over there. So we're going to start off at the point guard position. I'm going to go with Markelle Fultz here at $6,000. Looking for 30 points out. I'm currently having projected for 32 points tonight, averaging about 27 so far on the season. He's pretty much guaranteed to get as many minutes as he can handle tonight, as long as he stays out of foul trouble and stays healthy in this game, because there is no other point guard on this team. So I think there is a very, very good high-end opportunity for him once again tonight, and we've seen some pretty big games out of him so far this season. Then in shooting guard, we're going to go with Alec Burks. He's $4,400, looking for 22 points out. He's averaging just over that on the season already. Could potentially be in that starting lineup. At the very least, probably playing more minutes. Currently have him projected for about, 28, 30 minutes. Have him projected for about 28 fantasy points. So looking like a pretty solid play overall. Probably going to be a pretty popular one, especially after that last game that he did have. Then a small forward, we're going right back to Scotty Barnes today, $6,700, exact same price as yesterday. Looking for 33, 34 points on him, exactly what he's averaging so far in the season. Currently I'm projected for 37 tonight, definitely has some upside for more, especially if Fred VanVleet is out once again. Then at power forward, we're going with John Collins. He's $5,700. Looking for 28, 29 points on him, exactly what he's averaging so far on the season. Currently, I'm projected for 30, 31 points tonight. Definitely has a little bit of upside for more as well. A pretty good pace-up spot against the Lakers tonight as well. And then last but not least, we're going with Bol at $4,800. Looking for 24 points on him. He's averaging 26 so far in the season. As I mentioned earlier, with the injuries, he is the only big man really remaining for this team overall. So going to eat up a chunk of those center minutes, as many as he can handle tonight. Could be a worse matchup, Maybe you get some foul trouble against Porzingis and Gafford, but really not going to matter too much because they're going to have to play him as many minutes as he can handle tonight. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, $22,400 remaining, just under $7,500 per player. So definitely some room and opportunities to pay up for some stud players. There's definitely a few of them on tonight's slate overall. Or if you want to take a little bit more balanced approach, that's definitely fine on tonight's slate as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there as well. So on the FanDuel side, a little bit more balanced approach when it comes to the core picks so far. I'm going to start off at the point guard position with D'Angelo Russell at $7,100. Looking for 35, 36 points on him. He's averaging 32.5 so far in the season, but the games without Karl-Anthony Towns, he's been playing much better. He's been playing more minutes, especially with no Jordan McLaughlin behind him as well. Currently have him projected for 37 points tonight, but definitely has some upside for more as well. Then in shooting guard, we're going to go down to Franz Wagner. He's $6,600, looking for 33 points on him, averaging about 30.5 so far in the season. Very depleted Orlando team tonight. Not a crazy bad matchup against the Washington Wizards as well. Do like Franz Wagner once again tonight. Obviously, those minutes that Markelle Fultz is not out there on the court, he's going to have some primary ball handling. Him and Paolo Banchero probably get a couple extra usage bumps there, maybe a little bit of assist bump as well. Currently, I'm projected for 34, 35 points tonight. And then small forward, we're going to go down to Bojan Bogdanovic at $6,000. Looking for 30 points on him. Currently, I'm projected for 31. He's been a guy that's been in my core picks very many times. Pretty much the same thing as I have to say most times, but a little bit more depleted team overall. So he might get a little bit of usage bump and a couple extra shots tonight as well. And then at power forward, we're going to go with John Collins at $6,300. Looking for 31, 32 points on him. He's averaging 29 so far in the season. Haven't projected for 31 FanDuel points tonight. Goes against the Lakers. Should be a pretty pace-up spot once again, kind of like I mentioned on DraftKings. Maybe gets a couple extra minutes playing a little bit of center in the times when Okongwu is not on the floor. If he can stay out of foul trouble, he's going to look very, very good once again tonight. And then last but not least, at the center position, we're going to go with Thomas Bryant at $5,700. Looking for 28, 29 points on him. I know the last game was not the greatest for him, but if he's out there, if he's getting the minutes, he's going to look pretty good. And this is a little bit of a reduced price tag overall. Currently, I'm projected for about 29 fantasy points tonight. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players on the FanDuel side, you have $28,300 remaining, just under $7,100 per player. It's definitely a little bit of room and flexibility. If you really wanted to pay up for a player, you can definitely do that still. Or if you want to take a little bit more balanced approach, that's definitely fine on tonight's slate as well. But with that being said, these are my core 5 picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today, December 30th. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments below and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to note whether those questions are more FanDuel or DraftKings specific so I can help you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on tonight's slate, whether it's someone from my core 5 picks or whether it's a completely different player you guys think I missed. Definitely interested in hearing what you have to say. And then as always, I'll be listing all the injury updates down in the comments throughout the day. Be trying to get to as many starting lineups as I can get to tonight as well. And then also I will be posting my updated core about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock or as those changes do become available throughout the night. If there are any other changes that do happen, whether it's injury news, starting lineup news, anything else like that. But with it being said, if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at CoachCraigSports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, it's primarily NBA DFS and NFL DFS. NFL DFS has been slacking on the video side, but be sure to check out my content over at patreon.com, on Twitter, and over at webetats.com for the NFL DFS cheat sheets for both FanDuel and DraftKings. Definitely a great reference to use when building lineups. And then with that being said, if you're a new or current subscriber who's yet to do so, also be sure to hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. Like I've been saying, I post up daily NBA DFS Core Pick videos Monday through Friday, just like this. The NFL DFS content, which you can mainly find on Patreon, on Twitter, and over at webetats.com. But if you guys have any specific questions related to NFL DFS, be sure to reach out to me as well, whether it's on YouTube down in the comments, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Patreon, or whether it's in the cheat sheet article itself over at webetats.com, and I'll be glad to help you as much as possible. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and then last but not least, special shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.